Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for attending. My name is Perry Rapanga, and I would like to welcome you to our investor webinar for Visionstate. Today's presentation will feature John Putters, the visionary president, CEO, director, and founder of Visionstate, who is largely responsible for the well-situated company that we see today. In addition to John, Belinda Davidson, Visionsstate's very own VP of Marketing and Business Strategy, will be with us and sharing her experience, perspective, and wise expertise to Visionsstate's upcoming initiatives. Following this presentation, we'll be featuring a Q&A. And if you already have not been able to submit your questions, please just click on the Q&A button that you see, and we'll be sure to answer your questions. Well, with that in mind, and on that note, I will turn the floor over to John and Belinda. Once again, thank you for attending. And John, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Perry, and thank you everybody today for attending our webinar. We'll be focusing on the wholly owned division of Visionstate Corp, which is the public company. It's called Visionstate IoT, which is a wholly owned division of Corp and the operating company. Just the usual disclosure on our presentation today. So I'm going to start by just kind of giving a quick overview of what problem we're addressing. So there's several. The first one being cleaning compliance is now paramount in the current post-pandemic era. So, you know, we're all very tired and fatigued of COVID, but really the protocols and the standards for cleaning have changed dramatically as a result of it, and promise to continue down the road as we keep our eye on COVID and its variants. And the fact of the matter is that the old way of tracking this information just isn't effective anymore. Coupled with that is the fact that we're seeing increased numbers of lawsuits related to slip and fall injuries. And this is in part reflective of the litigious society we live in today, but the fact is that these are increasing, and once again, very hard to defend a lawsuit without the information readily available. The third one is that a lot of our customers are labor-based. So the cleaning process is a heavily labor-based process. It requires humans at this point to do the work. And so any movement toward efficiency and being able to improve the processes for that cleaning is a huge step forward in that industry. So really what Visionstate IoT is all about is really WANDA. So we branded our product around WANDA, and what we've done here is taken an old process, which we've all seen in restrooms before, the omnipresent checklist that really doesn't give a lot of information about who did what, when, why, and where. And so we've streamlined this by introducing new technology. Our WANDA mobile product is really doing quite well in the market right now because of its easy deployment, and frankly the cost base is very low, which I'll talk about later. But at the end of the day, what it does is provide extremely valuable analytics to facility managers on what's being done. So, you know, clearly you couldn't do that with a paper-based system unless you re-entered all that data, of which would be limited anyway. But you can see at the bottom left-hand corner of the screen you're looking at right now, an example of a compliance reporting. This is actual data on what the cleaning staff has been doing and whether they're compliant. And I think a lot of us are aware, but I'll repeat this. You know, in many respects, the frontline heroes of COVID were the cleaners and the people that were going out there and making our environment safe for both employees and visitors. Management needs to know whether or not they're being compliant on what those standards are for cleaning. So it's a big leap forward in technology for that industry. So WANDA is, in a sense, a hub of data. So we bring in data from several different points. Our main product at this point last year was actually the wall-mounted touchscreen. So we put that into the entrance of restrooms, and staff would log in, record their activities, and patrons would have the ability to send feedback. Now, the issue that we ran into as a result of COVID were really kind of threefold. One was the lack of supply of screens. The second one is the ability to even install them when everything was locked down. And the third was really the need to touch the screen. So we're increasingly going to a touchless world. So we pivoted more toward the mobile app in the last year, and a lot of focus for our development was on the mobile app. One of the things that we did recently was paired it with a QR code, which you can see on the screen. And in fact, if you scan that code with your phone, I set up a very small demo on what it would look like from the customer's perspective and sending an alert to the staff that in this particular instance that the cafeteria needs attention. So the various other peripheries that you see here are depending upon the situation with the customer. So for example, shopping centers do like the tablet because it's proactive, it's demonstrating to patrons that the location is serious about cleanliness and hygiene, and that's front and center. In some instances, we've done third-party integrations with, for example, Torque EasyCube, which are smart dispensers. So basically that gives real-time monitoring of supply levels. And this all this data feeds into the analytics that WANDA produces in the portal. Most recently, we've integrated a surface testing device with Hygienia that allows cleaners to do quick tests on surface areas to see whether or not they've cleaned properly and they've got rid of anything that might be a threat to people's health. The traffic counters are actually used fairly extensively because there's a bunch of analytics that we can derive out of that. For example, if we know, the traffic volume into a certain area, we can calculate based on history what the supply usage is going to be and when the most likely depletion of those resources will happen. Same with maintenance. Toilets, have a certain lifespan, and this can be calculated based on the traffic counter. So that kind of covers the suite of products. It depends on the situation, but by far the most interest right now is in the mobile app, just because it's very easy to deploy. We basically, this time last year, I would say we were tablet dependent and restroom centric. and that had an impact on our scalability. With our mobile app, we can basically deploy a whole, entire university in less than a week. So this is a huge step forward for us. I will say that in 2021, a big part of our development was focused on that app. So for example, we're launching in Europe this month, in Belgium, to a network of hospitals, and we needed to make it multilingual. So, these were kind of necessary delays in terms of us developing our technology. But we have a very, very powerful app now that can be scaled very significantly, and basically track anything, not just restrooms, but cafeterias. We're even tracking ashtrays in the city of Edmonton right now, exterior ones that are on sort of the more trendy areas in the city. So it just demonstrates the versatility. So, at the end of the day, it's all about the analytics. But why would anybody put WANDA in other than analytics? Well, the fact of the matter is you can now track everything from doorknobs to ashtrays. It's quick to deploy. It needs no existing infrastructure. Basically runs on any smart device. There's some inherent benefits to this in terms of workflow management, supply monitoring, control over inventory, and, certainly not the least of which is providing a safe environment for both staff and patrons. So, what is the value of the technology? I always defer to the experts. Bunzl Cleaning and Hygiene is a big partner of ours. This is a global company that is, in fact, experts in cleaning and hygiene, and they fully endorsed the product. I think we made a pivotal turning point this year in moving toward the mobile app, which is way easy for their global sales force to market and sell because it's so easy to deploy. When we were tablet dependent, the challenges were installation, access to the hardware, and ongoing maintenance of the hardware, based on particular environments, whether it's connectivity, power, any of those issues, were really inhibitors to growth for us. And so, this is we were kind of pushed in that direction by COVID, but we were really going in that direction anyway. So this is what the global leaders say about the product, and they know what they're talking about. So our business model is based on software as a service. Typically we sign 3-year deals for our technology. We share that with Bunzl on a 70-30 basis, where we receive 70% of the revenue, but we really leverage their global sales staff in order to drive our sales. So it's a very easy model to implement, and certainly very easy for our customers. On our side, really the value of it is the fact that there's a 90% plus margin on our app sales. So we could do a whole university campus with 200 or 300 activations in less than a week, and it's basically recurring revenue for the next 3 years. So let's just talk about market size by key industry sectors. Many of these we've already penetrated at some level with our WANDA tablet. But if you look through this, you can see that the potential activations, even a 10% penetration of the market, is really very significant. And there's no question that this is important for every vertical that I've listed here, whether it's an office tower or certainly public schools. Public schools are opening up again. Mandates are dropping. What are we doing in our schools to ensure that we're providing a safe and clean environment? So every one of those are potential customers, and each one of them in and of themselves are fairly significant. So just moving to our pro forma projections, I've taken even less than that. I've taken the 1% market penetration across the board, and formulated the pro forma projections based on that. And I think this is very realistic and attainable. And I'll just give you an example. We're dealing with the school board in BC right now. We're very close to concluding that deal. It's 135 schools within the school board. Each one would have 3 activations. So really the price of a monthly bill, a cell phone bill per school makes it very palatable for them. But overall, that's over 450 activations of the mobile app. So you can see how that could be scaled very easily. And that's just one. There's school boards. I think there's like 300 of them across Canada that we can target. So that's what we're doing. We've selected those key sectors as the main targets for our product. Just a sort of partial list of some of the locations we're in. So we already have a footprint, which is the nice thing. Now we've added new technology that, frankly makes it a lot easier for all of these industry sectors to adopt very, very easily, very cheaply. I'm going to just say hospitality, for example, in a hotel room. It makes a lot more sense to scan a QR code to say I need towels versus picking up the phone, which nobody wants to touch anyway. And then tracking the cleaning of the cleaning staff and the supplies as they go through and clean those rooms. And in fact, once they're done, that sends an alert down to the head, to the main desk, that room is available. And in fact, that's a customer service point, because sometimes that means getting the customer in earlier than the check-in time, which I think has happened to all of us. So there's practical applications across the board here. It's really about execution at this point. I mean, we've got the product, we've got the endorsement, we've got the sales network. It's just really execution at this point. And I got to reiterate that since we've pivoted more towards selling our mobile app, it's made it way easier for that global sales network to sell the product, because everybody understands how a phone app works. When you're talking about installing WANDA tablets, it's a whole different conversation, because you got to look at connectivity, power, location, and getting in and physically installing it. Not to mention the limited coverage that would provide by being restroom centric. So again, to reiterate, we can track everything from doorknobs to ashtrays at this point with our mobile app. Some of the significant occurrences over the last several quarters, again, about this time last year, we launched WANDA Mobile. Obviously, we'd been working on that in 2020, but really the launch came in the spring of 2021, where we did a network of essential warehouses across Canada. We instituted a new business model, so we went strictly software as a service, And that includes even the hardware. If they do take that becomes part of the service. So before we used to charge up front for that, but that became an issue because of capital expenditures. So we wanted to get this into operational budgets, and we did that through adopting the software as a service model. We also relaunched Wiki 2.0. So Visionstate actually started out as a company that was disrupting directories. Its first installation predated touch phones, and we had rudimentary AI driving that. The AI has expanded dramatically since that point in time. And we still had a foothold with an Ivanhoe Cambridge property in BC that we did in 2013, who approached us for an upgrade to the software. So we reached out to the University of Alberta, which is one of the leading educational institutes behind artificial intelligence. We partnered with a spinoff, and this is a whole new revenue stream. Which, frankly, we're in a lot of the locations that would be potential customers. So we have a customer base that we can tap into on this. But we're very excited about that as a product and as a new revenue stream for the company. Also, late 2021, we brought on Belinda Davidson as our new VP of Business Strategy. So, I've discussed execution of the product. I think everybody on this call is probably very interested in what WANDA is all about, but how are we executing on it? So we brought Belinda in to do a complete analysis of WANDA and what we needed to do to meet the expectations of our shareholders, customers, and partners. And now we're implementing those recommendations. So that's a huge step forward. Belinda has, I'm going to say, 30 years experience with, Ivanhoe Cambridge Properties, which is one of the leading property developers across Canada. So she's got great connections, and she really understands our market. And she's really provided the blueprint for moving forward for the company. Q1 2022, we retrained all the Bunzl salespeople in North America on WANDA Mobile. Since that point in time, my phone's been ringing off the hook from Bunzl salespeople that I've never talked to before in the past. So it's starting to show the dividends. Sorry, just go back to Belinda there for a second. Belinda did extensive stakeholder interviews with basically everybody that's part of this product or product journey, if you like. And that includes our partners, our shareholders, our customers, our staff, and in fact, even our board of directors. So this was a very thorough, detailed project that produced amazing results and really, like I say, a blueprint for moving forward. So I kind of missed that, and I think that's very important. We redeveloped our website, marketing materials. Our new website should be up by the end of the month, and a lot more detail on WANDA, what it does, the various verticals that we're in, and how our technology can help in providing a safe, clean environment for the whole world, and in fact being more efficient and hopefully being able to deal with some of the slip and fall lawsuits. We also hired a new director of sales early in 2022. Shannon came on with 30 years experience in sales. We thought this was important in order to coordinate better with Bunzl, but also to set our own sales strategies internally on certain verticals that we've identified. because Bunzl can't be everywhere at all times. And so there were some important verticals that we've identified that we want to target. And so we brought Shannon on for that purpose. Probably one of the bigger sort of initiatives out of this quarter is the fact that we launched a pilot project with the city of Edmonton to track garbage receptacles and ashtrays in 40 different locations. So they've rolled out the WANDA mobile app. This is an exterior application. So literally there are QR codes on these receptacles and ashtrays that people can scan for feedback, and the cleaning staff scan and have certain duties that they have to perform in order to submit their report on what they've done. So that's very exciting. That's created interest from other municipalities, and so our sales queue is longer than it's ever been by a long shot. Q2 coming up, we, through dealing with these hospitals, they've identified other pain points. So one of the significant things we've been working on for Kingston Medical Center is an RFID application that works with WANDA to track things like wheelchairs and gurneys, which shockingly get lost quite easily within the facility. And then once they track it down, has it been cleaned? Because there's a requirement that these are cleaned after every use. So we've been working on that technology for the last quarter, and we're getting ready to launch it. The other big event is going to be, and this is happening this month, is our launch in Europe. Bunzl's been around since 1855. They trade on the London Stock Exchange. They're very well known in Europe, not so much in North America, although that's changing because they're acquiring new companies. In fact, they bought out West Clean, which was one of the largest Western Canadian suppliers of cleaning and hygiene. And so that's established a footprint for them in Western Canada in a substantial way, but they're also doing the same across Canada and the US. So launching in Europe is extremely important, not only because it opens a whole new market in Europe, but it also provides motivation and incentive for the global staff under Bunzl to be selling this. The sales focus really is going to be on school boards. We're very close to a couple already. I think once we get a couple of them, we're going to have a lot of success in that sector because of the affordability and the ability to track, all that cleaning activity that's very important to keeping our kids safe, in fact. Then we also anticipate having a soft launch of, well, actually, we already soft launched Vicky 2.0. We're targeting the spring to actually implement this new technology, which is driven by the AI. So it's pretty exciting. We have a lot of great technology coming down the pipe, and we have markets to sell it in. Next slide. This is just a kind of an overview of our capital structure. We're trading around 5 cents. You can get most of this information online. I will tell you this at this point. I find it very ironic that a company the size of Bunzl, which is a capitalization in the billions, has put its faith and confidence in a company like Visionstate that's worth around $5 million and pinned its future on it. And I'm not joking. The focus for Bunzl moving forward is on data and analytics, not commodities. The commodities that they sell is a highly competitive market. They see WANDA and Visionstate as a huge differentiator for them. Any big bid, or frankly, any bid that they're now submitting, to sell supplies to large municipalities, school boards, WANDA is included in that. And in some cases, it's the difference between getting the contract and not getting the contract. And I'll just give you another quick example of that. Blackstone, which is the largest private equity real estate company in the world, they felt that they stuck their neck out in 2021 and, implemented WANDA in one of their Class A office towers in New York. They've now expanded that to Miami, and they're now looking at their other offices in the major regions of the US and globally to implement the technology. This is business that Bunzl just didn't have before. Now they have it because of WANDA. So it's you can see that this is very, very important technology to them, and they continue to invest in it. The team is awesome. I have to say, Belinda is a subject matter expert in brand awareness and marketing. Alistair Medford, I'll just say this about him. He consistently overperforms and underpromises. And I think you could talk to basically any senior level person at Bunzl and they would say the same thing. Randa Kashkar, Randa works tirelessly as our CFO. She does this on a part-time basis. I think that's probably speaks to her skill base, but very committed to the company and a very important part of the team. Shannon Burke just joined us, and we're happy to have her on board to lead up our sales internally. Then we have Ned and Jim, who are both directors of the company, and we have regular board meetings where we discuss our plans and our future and our financial situation and our sales funnels and all that sort of thing. So we do have very good governance. I'm very happy with the board, and we're moving forward. So, and basically that's the end of my presentation. There's some contact information there, both with Kappa, CHF, who let me just say, CHF Capital Markets is a tireless supporter of Visionstate and myself, and I'm greatly indebted to them for their belief in me and the company. So thank you for that. And if you have any further questions or want to reach out to me personally, my information is there. Please feel free to use it. Thank you.
Fantastic. Thank you for the excellent presentation there, John. So at this stage, we'll be moving forward to the audience Q&A segment of our presentation. And I'll be going ahead and pushing forward some of the investor questions. Okay, so Ivan Kovacevic asks, will Visionstate offer a private placement in Q1?
There's no plans on doing that at this point. We have warrants that are coming due in February, later in February and March. So as of right now, the answer is no.
Excellent. Thank you for that answer. So I have a series of questions from investor Ed Vranick. So there will be 3 in total, and I'll proceed in the series. So the first question being, what happened in Q4 that caused the rebooking of revenue? How much was backed out, and what would have been the revenue in Q4 without those accruals?
Okay, that's a very good question. So maybe Randa can weigh in on that, but our CFO, but basically what happened, so, last year we were doing a pivot, right? Last year at this point in time, we were tablet dependent, restroom centric, very little scalability. We needed to invest in our technology. So that had an impact on sales, but what we did is some development projects that really kind of put us in a profitable position. And I think this is reflective of the fact that we have a low cost base here, but this was important development of an IoT solution for the cannabis sector. So what happened there was simply that the project wasn't completed as of September 30th, particularly the installation of the sensors. So that's actually being worked on right now. And when I talk about sensors, I'm talking about sensors to measure moisture, soil health, temperatures, lights, the types of things that impact cannabis companies, particularly on their yield and quality of product. So that's basically what happened. That revenue will be shown in 2022, partially in Q1 and Q2. So we still are earning that revenue. It just was pushed off a bit.
Excellent. Thank you for the answer there, John. So just moving forward into the new year, will the company be providing guidance this year? And what can be done to ensure that this time, perhaps the numbers, arrive at a close point to projections?
Yeah, okay, that's a really good question. So, and, we've been trying to figure this out. So doing, well, let's just say the software as a service model is measured a little bit differently than EBITDA. It's measured based on customer acquisition. And the reason being is that we report 3 months of a 3-year contract, and that's it. So if you were talking booked revenue, that's a whole different thing. That would be the whole contract over the 3 years, but we don't report that way. So we report the 3 months of that 3-year contract, and that's it. So we need to explain this better to the market, that we are an SAS model, that we record it this way. However, if you looked at our booked revenue, so the revenue that we have over the term of that contract, it shows a different picture than it does just taking a 3-month view. So in terms of guidance, our guidance would be based on not only our revenue, but our rate of customer acquisition, which is significant.
Wonderful. Thank you for that response. Just wrapping up Ed Vranick's series of questions, the third inquiry being, would you be able to describe the cost of goods sold, so this might include tablet, hardware, installation, or labor, of the old tablet model for a typical office building or school compared to the cost of goods sold of the new mobile app model?
That's a really good question, actually. Okay, so let me do it this way. So if you're talking about Queen's University, for example, which we actually put tablets in there, but they're looking at the mobile app. There's 400 locations that they need to track in total across campus. If they were to implement WANDA tablets, it would be 400 times $2,000 for all those tablets, all of that hardware to go in, which is basically not going to happen. They don't have that kind of capital to invest up front. Now, in terms of the cost of the hardware, we do have an agreement with Bunzo where they buy all the inventory. So we don't have those kind of issues where we need to free up cash to allocate to inventory. So that's one of the nice things about the deal with Bunzo. However, we've had instances where we've made a sale, and it involves the tablet, and it was 4 months after we made the sale that the product was actually put in. So our license fees, there was a major lag between when they purchased the product and when they could actually implement it. So all sorts of challenges that put major demands on our labor, which decreased our margin significantly with the tablet. With the WANDA mobile, it's configurable by itself. We could do Queens in probably a week or less, full deployment to the 400 locations, and it would be roughly 400 times $25 a month, which is, and we do scale that, so it would probably be less than $25. However, it's significantly cheaper than putting in the tablets, for sure. And they can pay for it on a monthly basis, just like, your cell phone bill. In terms of margin, and Randa, please correct me if I'm wrong here, but the margin on our mobile app is around 90%. Hopefully
that sounds great. Yeah. Oh, sorry about that, John.
No worries.
Oh, okay, good. Yeah.
Do you want to add anything before, I was going to add you toward the end, and then if you want to say some things, please do.
Yeah, well, you know what, John? I have one last question here from the audience, and this may be applicable to both yourself and Belinda. So Mitchell Shaffey asks, you have a great company making excellent products and good progress on revenue generation. The WANDA product you have seems to have no competition, and yet awareness of its benefit appears to be lacking to the investment community. So how do we get this recognition promoted to the investment community? And as a possible idea, would the federal government be able to help, since healthcare is such a big necessity moving forward?
Yeah, that's a really good question. And I mean, honestly, and I like to be transparent here. We were struggling with the messaging to the investment community. I think what Belinda's report really kind of gave us a sort of a playbook on how to deal with it. But, we were really trying to figure out our own legs. Like, when COVID hit, it's like all of a sudden we have this massive interest in our product, but then the log jams were trying to get the tablets out, trying to get them installed, trying to even access them. So, in fact, Blackstone does use some of the tablets. Where our next delivery is in March, and we put that in I think it was even September we put that order in. So it was really a question of what was the proper messaging for the investment community. Like, what are we? Are we this mobile app company? Are we WANDA? Like, the perception, I would say, certainly at this time last year, but even going through last year, was that we were a restroom app, and we're not. We're not a restroom app anymore. We're a full facility management tool, whether you're tracking ashtrays on White App or cafeterias in Cross Iron Mill Shopping Center in Calgary. It's all the same. So the picture's changed. This is why we brought on Belinda when we did, because we said, okay, we think we know where we're going, Belinda, but what do you think? You're an expert in brand strategy and marketing. What does this look like to you, and how do we move forward with it? And take that message to not only our customers, but our investors. And we're now at that point. And, frankly, we've had fairly regular disclosure now. We're closing deals a lot faster than we ever did before, partly because we don't have to go through this whole process of assessing how do we put our product into your location. We don't have those kind of conversations anymore. So I think we have a very clear, concise message that we can bring forward to investors now that we didn't have before, and we're going to do that. Belinda, did you have anything to add?
Yeah, so first of all, thank you so much for having me today. What I will say is just to reiterate what John was saying, I think it was about a brand identity issue. And regardless of who your audience is, whether it's your investors, whether it's the people that you're trying to put the units into, you have to have a strong brand identity. You have to have a clear positioning, and you have to have a story to tell. And so when I took on the opportunity to work with the Visionstate team and conduct stakeholder interviews, that whole process was about confirming assumptions I think that many of the stakeholders had, validating some of that, and also coming in as with an unbiased view to really unearth where things are at as it pertains to partnership relations, the customer experience. And I'll tell you just briefly, my first takeaways from the whole process was there's no question everybody sees the potential in the WANDA ecosystem. That was great. And there was such a high level of alignment there. But it's now time to move from the notion of what I call aspiration to strategic planning, from having a goal that says we all have a desire to grow WANDA. Okay, that goes without saying, but now we need to formulate that and say, we want to position WANDA as a product leader and achieve mass distribution globally as a can't live without solution. And that means there has to be objectives, key performance indicators, and results in order to be able to back that up. And when I looked at what was happening with WANDA, and the great news is with the mobile, not only has technology moved there and everything is in the palm of your hand, but a lot of the tablet issues that were being created with a really complicated sales and distribution process leading to objections, I think this is an opportunity to showcase this particular product line and amplify it, not only through the existing facilities, but I think there's a whole lot of other segments and other uses that can be incorporated. So WANDA, historically, I defined it as saying it was high effort, low return. And we need to get to a segment where it is low effort, high impact, high return. So, through the whole process, it was about, yes, there's tons of optimism and great potential as it pertains to the WANDA ecosystem. And growth and evolution are so important for this product. But to date, sales and distribution haven't met stakeholder expectations at a level they'd want. And we need to find a way through, I would say, process and planning. Those are going to be really key to ensure that the company is set up in a way to be able to capitalize on mass distribution. And so that has a lot of implications. So when I did the stakeholder interviews, to be able to sort of distill it into what are the things we need to do, partnership health is extremely good, and Bunzl has proven to be a great partner for Visionstate, but there has to be consistently alignment, and there has to be checks and balances in order for there to be accountability. And that's going to come through alignment of vision, objectives, and metrics, and how we're going to measure our performance moving forward. So at any point, I'd be more than happy to walk anybody through the report that I developed and get into a little bit more detail. But without those foundational pieces, it's really hard. And so when you start to even think about lead generation, new channels, who owns the marketing, and how does the marketing complement each other through both Visionstate and Bunzl in order to amplify the awareness, all of those are things that were part of the recommendation that I had put into the report.
Great answer.
Wow, thank you very much. Yeah.
You can see why I hired her.
Absolutely. Without a doubt there, John.
Thanks, Belinda.
Thanks, John.
Well, at this point, I'd like to thank both John and Belinda for their exceptional presentation, and I'd like to hand the floor back to my colleague, Perry Rapagna, who will provide everyone with some closing remarks.
Good, am I on? Great. First of all, thank you very much, John. Belinda, good thing you weren't prepared to answer that question. And Jordan, I must thank you also for doing such an excellent job of handling all of our Q&As. As you say, John, there are some significant underlying realities about where the company is today versus where it was even 12 months ago. Not the least of which is the scalability of the technology service moving to mobile. All the same benefits apply to the product that you have discussed historically. So the move to WANDA Mobile represents a very significant turning point for the company. And for that, I thank you and congratulations. I'm going to leave it at that, sorry, because I've lost my connection before during this and I don't want to lose it again. I'm also available for anyone, should they have any questions or need any information. Again, thank you all for attending. Thank you, John and Belinda, Jordan, and Thomas Doe for hosting the whole thing and making it go as smooth as I believe it has. Thank you all and have a great day.